Welcome back to the B-Jack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and it's time to get negative on the podcast. And no, I'm not. I'm not getting negative about the Cleveland Browns situation, not doing anything team specific. It is time to get a little bit negative and a bit positive about some quarterbacks in the National Football League. But before we get to it, just want to say, since you're watching, since you're here, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Got a lot of content that has come out over the last few days talking about Cleveland Browns head coach, recapping last weekend's NFL playoff games, championship weekend. Even before that, a video about Baker Mayfield complaining and acting like a victim. So if you want to see me rant on that, go ahead, check those out. Those are all on the channel. Last few videos I've done on this channel. So go ahead and check those out. But appreciate you being here. Appreciate you subscribing. Thank you. Thank you. I just saw that. I just saw you subscribe. Thank you for doing that. Go ahead, hit that like button too. Get us in the algorithm. Keep it going. Just keep the growth coming in 2026 and beyond. But thank you for doing that. But let's get into why we're here today. So what I want to talk about, have been mulling this over in my head for a couple of days. Didn't know when to talk about it. The Super Bowl is next week, so don't have anything specifically to prepare for this weekend. So I wanted to talk about how Sam Darnold has essentially beat the odds. He got drafted number 3 overall by the New York Jets. Jets are one of the bad organizations in the NFL, and I say that with no malice. I'm from Cleveland. I'm living in one of the worst franchises in the NFL in sports. So I say that with no malice in my heart. But got drafted by the Jets, wasn't good with the Jets, went to the Panthers, showed some flashes with the Panthers, went to the 49ers, didn't play, but was in the system, was a backup, watched other quarterbacks prepare, went to the Minnesota Vikings and played very well with the Minnesota Vikings. Got another chance to start, another opportunity, and that opportunity paid off because that got him to Seattle, where he is now an NFC champion and looking to become a Super Bowl champion. So how did he get here? Perseverance, growth. You have to respect what Sam Darnold has done by getting here. But when you look at the path that he took, how many other players would have been able to take that same path? How many other players would get this many chances to do what he's doing? Yes, he was the 3rd overall pick, but we saw a good amount of time of him as a starter to really think that we had seen enough and that he was bad. It felt like we had seen enough and the book was closed on Sam Darnold and he was not good. And he rewrote that book last year in Minnesota and has taken that book and burned it this season in Seattle. So in that case, I wanted to take a moment and look around the league and see what quarterbacks could potentially go down the Sam Darnold route. What quarterbacks have some people given up on, some people haven't, maybe in a bad situation. Who do we think that, if just given some time, could do better? And also, who do we think doesn't need any more time, that they're a finished product, that they're a cooked product, and we don't need any more chances as a starting quarterback. So we're gonna go both sides. But before we go both sides, I have three examples of quarterbacks that have all we've already seen on similar paths to Sam Darnold, and they've elevated themselves. They've beat the case essentially of being a bust. They beat the bust case. And first one I want to talk about is the former Seattle Seahawks quarterback, Geno Smith. Geno Smith, near and dear to my heart. You see the jersey hanging up in the background. That's a West Virginia University jersey. Um, Me and Gino were at West Virginia at the same time. That's my teammate. And I have been screaming to the high heavens for years that he was a good quarterback. To anybody that would listen, he was a good quarterback. I know what happened with the New York Jets. It was very unfortunate. Seemingly nobody can look good at quarterback with the New York Jets. It's just one of those places. But the year he was going to, know that he was going to be the starter that year, had gotten the reps, had pieces around him, is when he got punched in the jaw broken during the summer, and Ryan Fitzpatrick took over and had success with Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall. That was the year. That was that year. So from that point moving forward, he was just kind of back up around the league, going to the Giants, ended up in Seattle behind Russell Wilson. And when he finally got a chance to start, he proved what I believed and what a lot of people like me believed, that he was a real starting quarterback in this league, was a good quarterback in this league. Obviously, it wasn't the best in Las Vegas this past season with the Raiders. But I don't know. There were some bad plays made, but I don't really want to put it all on him. I mean, Chip Kelly was there reportedly calling plays that hadn't been installed in Las Vegas. He was calling plays out of the playbook that were installed in Philadelphia or that were installed in Columbus at Ohio State. He wasn't calling plays from the Raiders playbook that they had practiced during the week. So I don't want to put it all on Geno. But he beat the case. Geno beat the case of being a bust. Even if it was only for a few years in Seattle, we'll see how it goes from here. But people just thought he was bad. And he did enough to prove he was not bad. Second, I want to talk about is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I still don't want to fully say that he beat the case. It's still pending. It's still pending, but he's raised himself up a little bit. Now, tearing his Achilles and also breaking his leg was tragic. And we'll see how he's able to rehab, how he's able to bounce back, come back, see if he plays at all during the 2026 season. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Colts handle that. But Daniel Jones was playing very well. I don't believe that, he had turned himself into an elite quarterback, a very good quarterback. I think he deserves to be in the starting 32. That's what I believe he has proved. Anything above that, I can't commit to. But it is much better than what I thought he was leaving the Giants. Much better than what I thought he would ever amount to be after seeing his tenure in New York, and credit to him. He got with somebody, he got with a coach that believed in his talent, and apparently that's all you really need. If you can pair your talent and your style with a coach that complements you, it'll work wonders for you. And I really wonder, like I said, we're going to talk about some other quarterbacks here, but I really wonder over the whole time, like the whole history of the NFL, how many quarterbacks, how many players in general would have been Pro Bowlers, All Pros, Hall of Fame players, but they didn't have the right fit coming into the league, couldn't get with the right team, couldn't get with the right coach, weren't in the right circumstances. Um, Sam Darnold is the example. Gino is an example. Daniel Jones a little bit more of an example, but the last one I want to talk about before we get to the other quarterbacks, the one that has really proved something this season, and it was Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, I'm extremely high on. Loved him coming out of Clemson. Loved him coming out of high school. Was extremely excited to see him in college. He won a national championship. Essentially, was the guy that we thought he was in college. Coming into the NFL, it was up and down. There was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs, a couple of very good highs. The one season, I think it was a sophomore season, or either sophomore season or third year when they went to the playoffs. Trevor, he did put his team in a hole by throwing 4 interceptions, but he did lead the second half comeback to win that game against Herbert and the Chargers. And then the next week, I always say that Jacksonville team gave Kansas City everything they could handle. So, but this season, I think without a shadow of a doubt, proved that Trevor Lawrence is here to stay. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a finalist for MVP. So, if that is the proof. Trevor Lawrence being a real finalist for the most valuable player award of the NFL shows that he definitely has shown that growth. It was really tough to be a Trevor Lawrence fan for a little while there. Because there wasn't really anything you could point to because he had never been consistent. He had always shown flashes of greatness here and there, but they were soon followed by the most unbelievable decision making you could possibly see from a quarterback with that much talent. You like the decision making, the throws into questionable windows, the fumbling problems. It was just you were nervous that he could never put it together. And thank goodness for Liam Cohen, went down there and whatever he was able to do got into Trevor's head, or maybe it's just he just needed that many games, that many reps, that many opportunities to be able to put it all together. Obviously these guys aren't finished products coming out of the draft, but everybody doesn't have 5 or 6 years to give you to let you reach your full potential. Sam Darnold had to go to 4 or 5 different teams just to get this opportunity, just to be able to prove that he is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Everybody doesn't get that chance. Everybody doesn't get that chance, and I'm going to name some guys here. I have 4 quarterbacks that we believe they either haven't gotten the chance or we believe. Well, okay, I'm just all right. So excuse me. We're going to talk about four guys here. So the first guy I'm bringing up is Mac Jones. Mac Jones, drafted by the Patriots, but at the end of the Bill Belichick regime, it wasn't very good. The first year he was a Pro Bowl alternate. They made the playoffs and got spanked in the first round. Mac Jones looked like a quarterback that had peaked in college, that wasn't a difference maker, the quintessential game manager. And I thought, a lot of people still think that's all he can be. But he's been able to leave that New England system, leave New England while they were down. And he went to Jacksonville, had, maybe not great success, but was able to show improvement in Jacksonville while Trevor Lawrence was hurt. And that was important for his development. For a hot, quick second, there was Mac Jones going to start in Jacksonville over Trevor? Just for a second, just for a twinge, just a little intrusive thought. Never came to fruition, rightfully so, but there was a moment. And left there, went to San Francisco. This season in particular, the backup for Brock Purdy, stepping in for Brock Purdy when he was injured, played extremely well. And yes, Kyle Shanahan is an excellent coach, excellent offensive quarterback coach, offensive mind, will be able to get everything he can out of an NFL level quarterback. But Mac was so good in these games, and substituting in for Brock Purdy, that you kind of wonder, does he deserve another shot to be the guy somewhere? Because, and I'm looking at 2026. There's a lot of teams that do need a quarterback, and there's not a lot of quarterbacks available. Seemingly, there's only one quarterback in the draft. We will see what happens with Ty Simpson, but Mendoza is going to be a Raider, and then we'll figure out the rest later. So we don't know. Mac Jones is probably going to end up somewhere, somewhere playing, somewhere starting, somewhere with an opportunity. If the 49ers let him go, they might not let him go because he played so well. So he's a guy that I think we need to just keep an eye on. The second person, of course, I'm gonna bring him up. He was only a rookie. Cleveland Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders. I'm not gonna belabor this point. I think that he showed enough flashes here and there that there is something there. There's a starting quarterback in there somewhere, but it would take a special patience in order to unlock that. Because the turnovers and the decision making under pressure, that can't go on. That cannot continue. So in order for him to be able to get out of those bad habits, I think he needs reps. I think he needs a lot of reps, and I think he just needs trust and belief. If there was a team that really believed in him and really trusted him to be the quarterback, I think that you would have a starting quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. I just don't know if he'll ever truly get that opportunity. And him being a 5th round pick, really hinders his ability to get that trust and that belief from somebody. Matt Jones was a first round pick, and that pedigree sticks with you. Sam Darnold was a first round quarterback, top 3 quarterback, and that has stuck with him. That has, that label has enabled him to get a couple more opportunities maybe than he had earned previously. So with Shador, I don't know. I believe in him, but I don't know if enough people in the NFL world at large believe in him. And it's going to be it's going to be tough. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Browns do this offseason with Dylan Gabriel still on the roster, with Deshaun Watson still on the roster, Malik Willis probably hitting free agency. A couple, one quarterback that we're going to talk about on the trading block, a couple of quarterbacks around the league on the trading block. It'll be very interesting to see what goes on in the quarterback room in Cleveland. But I really do think if he had the same exact path as Sam Darnold, I think you would lead to what we're seeing with Sam. A quarterback on a team that could start for a great team that doesn't necessarily need to make every single play. The defense can handle it. The running game can handle it. We have a great wide receiver. We have great complementary wide receivers. We have a good tight end. We have everything that we need in here. We just need you to not melt down. And I think he's a guy you can get that from. But I'm just worried that he won't get the time that I think he needs to unlock that. Which the game is the game. The game is the game, and these head coaches, these general managers, they don't have time. They don't have time. The Jaguars went through 3 head coaches in Trevor Lawrence's short career. The only people still there are the owners. So, the owners have time to invest in Trevor Lawrence. Your specific regime in the front office and coaching staff, they don't have that time. So I understand it. The third quarterback I want to talk about is Bryce Young. Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young. He's very interesting because what do you do? What do you do? He's played very well on one hand, and then on the other hand, some weeks has played atrocious. His size is always going to be a talking point, but I think he's another guy. Something is there. Of course, like the Panthers, however they did it, they did make the playoffs. They did win the division with Bryce Young at quarterback. And I just his case is interesting. He's another guy. I mean, like Bryce is going to be the quarterback for the Panthers in 2026. There's no worry of him getting traded or anything. But going forward past that, I have no idea what that looks like for him and for the Panthers. I'd be interested, like a lot of these guys in the league, and like on the positive side of the list, these are the guys that I feel positive if they get with the right coach and the right situation, they can have success. These are those guys. And the guys I'm going to bring up in a second that I'm ready to give up on, I just wonder what would happen, like if we got them with Kevin O'Connell, or if we got them with Kyle Shanahan, or if we got them with Sean McVay. just let them just sit with those guys for a year. Like, what could they soak up? I just wonder that. Like, what if we got Bryce Young to Los Angeles whenever Matt Stafford retired? What would that look like? Who knows? We'll probably never know. McVay probably retires when or leaves to go to TV whenever Stafford is done. So who knows? But um Bryce Young is a guy I'm wondering is it there with with the coaching staffs he had? Is it there with Canellis, or does he need something else? Or is he just he'll never be that consistently good quarterback? Again, who knows? And then the last one that I believe in firmly is Kyler Murray. People on the internet, on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube hate Kyler Murray. They absolutely hate Kyler Murray. I love Kyler Murray. And I truly believe him in Arizona. He's not the problem. I truly believe he's not the problem in Arizona. This past season could have gone a little better. But I watched a couple games earlier today. He's getting sacked. The receivers, they're at the beginning of the year, they're not getting open. Michael Wilson wasn't, doing the things that he was doing with Jacoby Brissett with Kyler Murray. So I truly don't believe what happened in Arizona was his fault, and I'm excited for him to move on to a different team. I'm excited for somebody that wants to coach him to coach him. I have no idea where he ends up. Does he end up in Pittsburgh with Mike McCarthy? Who knows? I can't even speculate more than that. Does he end up in New York with Aaron Glenn? I pray to God no. I pray to God no. Because just the history says it's not going to work. So again, Kyler Murray, I fully believe in. I don't think what happened in Arizona is on him fully. Of course, you got to make some plays, you got to make some throws, you got to make some better decisions. Maybe, use the middle of the field more. But all in all, I do not believe that the problems in Arizona were all his doing. He's way too talented of a guy to give up on. If you've had enough, if you've had enough on, you've given him. He's had enough time in Arizona where I understand they want a fresh start. I get that, but somebody really is going to get a gem when they trade for Kyler Murray, and I'm stand on that one. But last but not least, before we get out of here, I'm gonna, these are the guys I do not believe it, do not see it, do not want to invest anything more in them. And these are guys that have had significant investments in them. And the first one, Trey Lance. It's over. It's over. I'm like, you can be a backup for as long as you want to. Nobody get any ideas because of what Daniel Jones did, what Sam Darnold did. Nobody get any ideas. Trey Lance hasn't made any noise. We've never seen anything to believe Trey Lance has ever been good. And that's going back to college tape. So it was all tools. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But Trey Lance, we can pull the plug on that one. Justin Fields, it hurts me. I'm sorry. We were rooting for you. Ohio was rooting for you. It's not working. I don't think it's gonna work out, brother. Unbelievable athlete. He'll definitely have a spot in this league. as a backup quarterback, maybe can start a game or two for you in a pinch. Um, Unbelievable running the football, but the passing has he's never been able to not hold on to the ball for too long. And it's been multiple stops. We've seen it everywhere, and it unfortunately is time. It's time to pull that plug on the Justin Fields experiment as a starting quarterback. Um, Tua Tagovailoa, nah, man. Unfortunately, I think he was a Mike McDaniel merchant. I think he was a Tyreek Hill merchant, a Jalen Waddle merchant. I do not believe he has it anymore. It's unfortunate. He was that guy in college, but that hip injury just derailed it. And he's a I don't want to go too far, but we know the concussion history. The contract is crazy. I know the Dolphins want to get rid of him, but they're going to have to eat a whole lot of money in order to get rid of him. So he probably doesn't start for the Dolphins this season, but he still might be on the roster. So that's going to be a tough situation. But if somebody's probably going to try to trade for Tua, or if not trade for him, somebody's going to try to get him back to form, but I don't think this is going to work out. And last but not least, it pains me, but Anthony Richardson, maybe the most athletic quarterback profile we've ever seen from a prospect. Unbelievable arm, unbelievable speed, unbelievable strength and agility. Just no real quarterback acumen, unfortunately. The play where he got hurt because he got sacked because seemingly he didn't know that the defender was coming on his blind side from the line of scrimmage. That's something you got to see. You got to be able to protect yourself. Got to be able to know where danger is coming from. It's not just that play. The accuracy just isn't there. The consistency just isn't there. The explosivity is absolutely there. We've seen him make unbelievable plays, but they're too far in between. The completion I know completion percentage isn't everything, but his completion percentage at times is atrocious. And I don't want to just keep dogpiling on, but I think that one he was a top pick, early pick in the first round. Good signing bonus. Somebody's definitely going to try to make him a reclamation project. Somebody absolutely will, but I think it's going to be a struggle. I completely understand that somebody's going to attempt to make him into a good quarterback, and maybe he might really be the Sam Darnold of all of these guys, because how bad it looks, I can't imagine a world where he's a really good quarterback. I can't imagine a world that he's starting for a contender in the playoffs. I really don't. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I just don't think it's in the cards. But that's been another episode of the BJack 70 show. I hope you enjoyed this episode, little departure from our usual Friday episode of Brandon's Bets. Nothing to bet. I'm not betting anything else other than football. So next week when we come here, we'll bet on the Super Bowl on Friday. But yeah, not betting on basketball, not betting on baseball when it comes, not doing any of that. So yeah, so had to give the people something on Friday morning to watch. So again, if you're here, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Go ahead, hit the like button. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and share. And yeah, I'll see you next week. So until then, see you.